Podcast One presents The Chad Prather Show, your one-stop shop for comedy, craziness, and common sense. Each week, YouTube star and voice of the everyman, Chad Prather, brings his armchair philosophy and observational humor to the podcast world. Nothing is off limits. And now for your host, Chad Prather.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show podcast. I want to say thank you for those of you who are listening and for tuning in again for yet another week, another episode. I'm enjoying myself. I really am. I'm getting to spend some time and have a great conversation with some incredible people. Can't wait to introduce you to some more folks in the upcoming weeks. But today I want to get right into it because I have to. Quite honestly, I'm exhausted, and it's not because I do anything that special. I'm pretty lazy, but I did that one thing I do once a month, and that is this morning I exercised. I am that guy who spends the time on the treadmill, and I think I've been on it for an eternity. You look and you check, and it's only been 4 minutes, and you're just ready to stop. So I put in a solid 25 minutes this morning on the stationary bike that I keep upstairs. It makes for a great place to hang clothes when you're doing laundry and ironing. It's an incredible dust collector in my house, and once a month I might sit on it for about 25 minutes and pretend to move. I'm the guy who... my favorite exercise is sleeping. But at 45 years of age, I've realized that we exercise not to look good anymore or to fit in certain clothing, but just to continue surviving. And I'm that guy. My guest today, though, he's a different sort. You've seen him all over the internet. He is a true internet sensation. He's a voice for America, a voice for veterans, a voice for patriots. And he is a former Army guy. He is a veteran. And he's all about the fitness. Now, he's just now turning 30 years old, so he's still in the mode of looking good, and he does, and I don't mind saying it, because he's my buddy and he's my friend, and I'm proud of him. So I'm happy to have him on the podcast today. He and I had the opportunity to spend a couple of days in New York City just a few weeks ago. We just had a great time, spending time all over New York, hanging out, seeing some friends. We interestingly enough, we ran into a lot of folks that we knew and a lot of folks who knew us, and so we had a great time there in New York City. Just always good to catch up with this guy. His name is Graham Allen, and Graham is out of Anderson, South Carolina. He's moved all over the country. Like I said, he's one of those Army guys, and he'll tell his story here in just a few minutes. And it is a great story because many of you have heard him, you've seen him. He's known as the Daily Rants Guy, and he's a funny guy, but he makes a point. That thing that I guess we all try to do that from time to time. I certainly do with my videos that I post online. And he's a great guy. So we're going to get into that conversation in just a moment. I want to remind you to visit my website, watchchad.com. You can also visit my blog at politicalcowboy.com. Catch me on tour. We're launching new dates all the time for 2018 because we're continuing the Star Spangled Banter Tour all over the country. And right now I have been finishing up, 2017, various shows and getting ready to launch into 2018. Really not going to take a break. We're just going to keep on going. So many exciting things to come, so many incredible things that I can't wait to announce in the weeks to come here on the Chad Prather Show podcast. But most importantly, I want to encourage you to tell your friends about the podcast if you're enjoying these conversations. Make sure that they subscribe and follow and share it with their friends. Let's pass this thing on down the line because Podcast One has been so gracious to help us distribute and create this podcast. And hopefully these conversations are making a difference and encouraging you in your life. And be sure to give a good review. Give us a good rating on there. We like 5 stars around here. And I want to give a shout out to all the folks who make this podcast possible, the crew and the production staff at Podcast One. And they do a phenomenal job. So when we come back, I'm going to sit down with my good buddy, my friend, the bromance at large. You'll see what I'm talking about. The one, the only, Mr. Graham Allen. Stay tuned.
We will be back in a moment with more of The Chad Prather Show.
Hi, this is Ben Domenech, the host of the Federalist Radio Hour. We're a daily show coming to you 5 days a week from Washington, D.C., where we interview our nation's top journalists, politicians, authors, chefs, economists, entertainers, and more. If you're looking for a contrarian discussion on news, politics, or culture, give us a listen and subscribe at podcastone.com, the new Podcast One app, or at Apple Podcasts.
Hey folks, Podcast One has a great new app for you to listen to The Chad Prather Show and all of the great Podcast One shows available right now in the App Store or on Google Play. Find articles, social media, create playlists with your favorite episodes, and connect with other fans of the podcast. You can even create your own polls and debate the topics we talk about on the show. We have our own little community out there. You need to join it. Check out exclusive content such as behind-the-scenes photos and so much more. And if you have 360 video or watch shows in virtual reality, there are over 1,000 videos on the app right now. It's like you're in the studio. There is no other podcast app like this. Download the all-new Podcast One app in the App Store or on Google Play.
Welcome back to the Chad Prather Show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chad Prather Show. You wouldn't believe where I am. I'm in New York, as I said earlier, but I want to tell you, I'm sitting here in the Crowne Plaza right off of Times Square in my hotel room, not some fancy studio like I normally am in L.A. I'm in New York City, and we are using an ironing board as a table with the microphones and the recorder and everything. We're using an ironing board that is between us. And you ask, who's sitting here with me? Well, it is my good buddy, Graham Allen. Graham, I shouldn't have to come all the way to New York City to see you.
Well, I feel like I came to New York City to see you.
Well, it's a bromance match made in heaven. It really is. We did Fox News this morning. We did Fox and Friends. We were on Fox and Friends. We were on Fox and Friends first. They're gracious people, you know?
They are. They're very nice people. I was that's my first time. You're a regular and a pro at it, but that was my very first time. And so, you go in not really sure what to expect in situations like that. I've been on talk shows before, The Blaze and things like that, but Fox News is, that's the real deal, the mega one at the top of the the heap there. So
it's my favorite.
Yeah, I love it, and it's just, man, it was awesome. The whole experience was really cool.
I'll be honest with you, producers and folks that put together those shows, they've always been really good to me. Fox News has been good to me. The CNN producers, they've done pieces on me. They've been good to me, and I enjoy doing it. I really do. Does it make you nervous to be in front of the camera like that?
No. I think that for some reason I've always been very calm in the camera and things like that. But, there is that kind of gut check moment the very first time you do it because you've never been I've never been in Fox Studio before. I've never interacted with the other people. It's not so much you that you're worried about. Yeah. It's your chemistry between the people that are talking to you and things like that, because that's something that doesn't always go off very well. People, going off of each other back and forth and things like that with ease. So anyway, but it was cool and I had a good time.
I have zero stage fright. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't think you do either.
Like I said, I don't have stage fright. I do have like that inner gut feeling that, all right, you got to.
This is serious.
Yeah, you got to do this right.
Yeah, you got to step up. You got to do this. This is a serious deal because you were literally this morning in every home in America, just about.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so, people tune into Fox News, the highest rated news organization, in America. So anyway, aside from that, why were we on Fox News? I'll tell you why, because Graham Allen is a viral sensation. People always introduce me that way. They say, he's an internet sensation. I say, that's just a 21st century way of saying I'm unemployed, but I'm very well known.
Yeah.
And so
people don't real job, but I'm known everywhere. People know me everywhere, but pay me nothing.
Exactly. How did you get into you became the Daily Rants Guy? I love the branding on that. How did you start? Tell me the story, where it all came from.
Oh my goodness, the story. Well, okay. If we're going way back to how it began, I was born on a chilly morning of January. No,
you don't know.
I'm just kidding. So I used to be really big into fitness, and still to this day, I go to the gym as often as I can.
Yeah.
But one day I was working out, and I was in the military, and I wasn't making a lot of money, and I was like, man, these supplements are costing me a fortune. This is ridiculous that you got to pay this much money.
It's expensive to be healthy.
It's expensive to be healthy and look good. That is the thing. So anyway, my buddy, being the infinite wisdom that he has, he goes, you know what you should do? You should start an Instagram page and try to get somebody to sponsor you for fitness. Well, of course, me being 26 years old at the time, I was like, that is a fantastic idea.
There's always that one friend. I had that friend.
I should definitely do that. Well, fast forward about a year and a half on Instagram, and I'm finally starting to realize that even though I consider myself a healthy guy, I am not what you would call a fitness model. I am not quite caliber enough for that. So I was like, oh my goodness, I got to do something else to kind of get noticed. So one day I'm driving down the road, and this old grandma pretty much runs me into a ditch, runs me off the road. And so back then, Instagram was 15 seconds. And so I just went on there. I was in my Army uniform, and I just went on there and I did this little 15-second rant about bad drivers. And I did a little thing, in the video that I do. And at the time, it got like 12 comments, the video, which, buddy, that was big time. That was smoking video for me. And I was like, maybe I'm on to something here. So I just started doing that. And so I started doing these daily 15-second rants on Instagram. And then August 1st, 2016, I made the What We All Want to Say About Fitness People video. And I put it on Instagram.
Fantastic.
Thanks. And so I put it on Instagram, and somebody told me, they're like, you should really put this on Facebook, because Facebook, you can share on Facebook. And I thought, okay, that's not a bad idea. So August 1st, I created a Facebook page. August 10th, I shared that video on Facebook. And then I guess you could say the rest is history after that. So, algorithms and everything, I had like 3,000 likes on the Facebook page, and that video went viral. And so then we got to 100,000. And then, then we just started doing it over and over and over again.
Right.
And then the Colin Kaepernick thing happened the original time, a year ago.
Right.
And so
Colin Kaepernick took a knee.
Exactly.
So San Francisco 49ers.
So I made a video about that because it was something that really, irritated me. And it was something near and dear to my heart. And I had been doing just straight funny videos. That was the first time that I really tackled something real.
Yeah.
Something that was going on. It was current. It was present. And, from that point, this Daily Rants character was really born, because it went from, oh my gosh, your videos are so funny, to, oh my gosh, you should talk about this next, or you should talk about that.
People love giving you the topics, don't they? Daily, every day. I
don't have to watch the news ever.
Never.
I just pay attention to what people are sending me.
Yeah.
And, like that child hanging music video. I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea. I hadn't seen it or anything. And I woke up.
What was the name of that guy?
XXX Tentacion or something like that.
Yeah, where he did the one where he was hanging.
Fantastic name.
The
obviously.
white child, and it was pretty graphic.
Oh, it's very graphic, and so, but that's my point. I didn't even know. I had no clue, and I woke up to hundreds of messages of people saying, "You need to talk about this now," kind of thing. And so I kind of accidentally, through a weird chain of events, created this thing by accident.
Yeah.
So
you did a good job, and you and I've had this conversation before. One of the things that I know I did right, you did right, and some of the things you've done I envy, and I wish I had done it your way, but you were able to repeat it and do it over, so there was virality to everything you've put out. And there is. And that's a pressure, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Because now it's like, oh my God, I've got to do at least as good as the last one.
People do not realize. Well, I'll tell you the truth. I just, my last rant I did over Thanksgiving, and it got 1 million views.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I failed on that video.
Right.
And so first world problems, right? When a 1 million viewed video is considered a bad video.
Yeah.
But the pressure is there enormously, because you have so many people looking at you now. So if you have a video not do well, everybody notices. And so it's a lot of pressure.
In my second year of doing videos for social media, I hit a lull, and I thought, because I've said this before, the miracle of going viral, it's like winning the lottery. You can't tell somebody, okay, go do a viral post or video or whatever. There's no formula to it. You just, it was a law of averages, and you happen to get quote unquote lucky. And so it came around, and it happened consequentially. The miraculous part of it is doing it over and over again. And you branded it well. I branded mine well. We did it a certain way, and people started looking at us. I tell you all the time, I tell my friends all the time, I got a lawyer friend who said, you're the first person I know that ever got famous by pretending to be famous. And so I did that. I wanted to look bigger than what I was, and started putting the stuff out there. But it is a pressure, and you have never been afraid to deal with the serious issues. Like some of them I don't really want to touch because they're potentially so controversial, and I get a little, quite honestly, pissed off. Yeah. And I just really want to, and people, tell me if this is not true with you, I don't know, but people will always say, Chad, you need to
ease up on some of these things you're saying. That's beneath you, or I'm like, oh, you have no idea how low I can go.
Yeah, you have no idea how petty I can be if I really allow
seriously
myself.
shallow.
Yeah.
And so I get upset and I say things, and I always have people to say, you love me for saying what's on my mind, but then you get mad at me for saying what's on my mind. And so it's amazing the armchair quarterbacks, so to speak, that are out there wanting to tell you how to do what you've done so successfully. How many of those messages do you get?
Well, I think that there's a fine line with what we do, right? And so I've done a couple live feeds about this, and what I've discovered is if there's something I really want to talk about, I'll just do a live feed about it because that gives me my opportunity that nobody really expects a live feed to go viral, but you can really say what you want.
Yeah.
And so there's a fine line between doing our job now, which is our job is to create content, to talk about what's going on and for as many people to see it as possible, and then taking advantage of situations.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, that's been the biggest challenge and the biggest struggle is to, like, for example, take the Las Vegas shooting, for example. Obviously, horrific event.
Right.
Needed to be talked about, but at the same time, not in my opinion, I didn't want to do it the day it happened, a video about it, or within 12 hours about something like that. I normally am one of the later ones to do something. You'll see a lot of people like us that just video.
Yeah.
I will normally sit back and wait a day, 36 hours, 48 hours, something like that, before I post it. And so, because I never want it to be viewed as I don't really care, I'm just taking advantage of a situation.
Yeah.
And so I would say that is what I've dealt with the most from messages. Oh, you don't care about this. I even showed you the message the other day of the guy who wants to shoot me in the face.
And that's what it said, too. I want to shoot you in the face.
Yeah. If I ever see you, I'm going to shoot you straight in the face. And so that's the part that people don't see. Everybody sees what we want them to.
Yeah.
And everybody sees, oh, we're in New York City. Oh, now we're in Texas. Now we're in Las Vegas. And they see that we make these videos and they think, oh, man, what it must be like to be them. Well, I'm here to tell you that what it is like to do what we do, you have to have a very, very thick skin, and you have to not be afraid. I mean, the truth of the matter is, once you get to a certain amount of exposure, how much longer till you meet someone in public that doesn't like you,
right?
Or you have a meet and greet and somebody's in that line to basically tell you that they think that you are the worst human being in the world.
Right.
And, so that's what you deal with in the back of your mind, because that's the world that we live in today in 2017.
Unfortunately, it is. And people are so easily triggered by words. And that is, I never have understood why people get so bent out of shape over words. I get nasty messages every day. So I was reading through the Fox News Twitter profile. You were tagged in it. They shared a video of you talking. They did it with me. They tagged us in it. And you go through and you read some of the comments, and it's amazing how people will troll those things just to be negative and say as much as they can. I mean, they don't,
Nothing constructive, nothing helpful in any way.
Right.
Just die, white boy, die. I've seen that a lot, So. I mean, it's true. It's true. I wish that wasn't the case, but
this is why I drink, Graham. This is why I drink whiskey. And speaking of which, this room that we're in doesn't have a mini bar. I'm starting to get spoiled.
Yeah.
I want a mini bar. It's too expensive.
That's a rich guy thing.
That's a rich guy thing.
Where's the Fiji water?
Yeah, where's the? I need this in a square bottle. I don't drink out of round bottles. But no, I actually stole this little bottle of whiskey from I didn't steal it. I bought it, but I took it with me off of the airplane.
I acquired it
yesterday. Which the fact that I bought it should tell all of you I was not flying in first class. So it's not. The first half of the trip I flew first class, and tomorrow I'll be back on first class.
Yeah. I will say, first class is an interesting thing because I watch a lot of entrepreneur people and videos and seminars, and you've got two different types of entrepreneurs, right? You've got the entrepreneur that says that you should never fly first class unless somebody else pays it for you, because you should keep yourself humble, right?
Right.
But then there's the other side of the entrepreneur world that says you should always fly first class, because the people in first class is who you need to be talking to, and making connections and things like that. So,
and I've done that.
Yeah, and so have I.
I've gotten business advice that was well worth the extra $100-$200 to fly.
Yeah, you meet some very rich people, you meet some very experienced people. A lot of entrepreneurs sit first class.
Yeah.
And so I have leaned to the other side that I'll pay that extra $100-$200 depending on where you're going, just to have that opportunity.
And there's tricks to doing it and saving money and flying first class. And I'm telling you, if you take off and land as many times as you and I do, going around the country, you need to, because a lot of times you got to show up when you show up, and you got to show up rested, and you got to be ready to go. So I have people who give me a hard time. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe you pay extra money to fly." Absolutely, I do. If I can do it within reason, I will. And so about 70% of the flights I take these days, I am actually flying first class because it's a business investment for me. But there's ways to do it. People say, "Oh, you spend all that money." No, I really don't. There's tricks to it. And so there's ways to do it. And as much as I fly, there's a lot of points that I took off and landed 48 times in the first 14 days of November alone. So that's a lot of airplane time. That's a lot of time in the sky, and it's not the most comfortable thing.
Did I tell you I was afraid of flying?
Are you?
Did I tell you that?
Let's talk about that.
Did I tell you that?
No.
I used to
Still afraid?
Deathly, like wouldn't sleep the night before flying. I hated it. That's why I joined the Army. I figured, we'll be on the ground a lot.
Right.
When I went to Iraq, the medics would have to drug me and all this stuff.
No kidding.
Iraq is like an 18-hour flight. And so,
and you're in a military aircraft.
Oh, yeah. And so, anyway, so of course I end up landing into a profession where I'm on a plane more than I am a car. And so for the first 6 months or so of this new life that I live, a lot of people don't know this, I would be terrified.
Yeah.
I'd send my wife like in case I die,
in case you're
message every time I got on a plane and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. Legit fear of flying. So I had to go to the doctor, and I was like, "Hey man, look, I got a fear of flying. You gotta help me out, because I do this all the time. I need something. I'm not asking for like Valiums or anything like that, but I need something. Because I'm having a hard time." So anyway, I ended up getting so before I get on the plane, I pop this like little anti-anxiety thing for the plane. I'm good, buddy. Let's ride this thing.
I have found that vodka works. And so, I love the airport because it's the one place on the planet that doesn't judge you for drinking in the morning.
Oh,
the 7 a.m. rolls around.
Or
and
cheeseburger at 8:30. Yeah.
Exactly. I'll have hot wings and a mimosa. And so, it's a weird thing. But I can remember myself when I was young, because I used to travel all around the world, and then I took a break from that, and I thought my travel days are over because I was in the corporate world for a little while. And I can remember seeing airplanes in the sky, and something in my stomach would just jump, but in a way of just saying, I don't care where that plane's going, I want to be on it.
Right.
Because I'm that guy with the wanderlust. I need to be out going and doing and traveling. And so I travel maybe too much these days. I don't know. It's a lot.
There could be stretches there that is pretty rough. Yeah.
It can be a lot. And I do a lot of early mornings. I tell people that whenever my neighbors hear my door shut at 3 a.m. and they hear my truck crank and me leaving, that's the sound of me going out to kick ass and succeed.
Right.
It's hard work to do that, to get yourself up, to get going. We were talking to the producers there at Fox and Friends this morning, and I said, I don't know how you guys do morning TV all the time. And the girl said, what did she say? She said, you're always on our show.
Yeah.
You're getting up. You're doing all these other markets.
But they've been there.
They do it every day.
Yeah, they've been there, but they've been there for hours before we even show up.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. So yeah, it's
a tough deal.
It's crazy.
But you gotta get up, you gotta go, you gotta get motivated and do it, and I'm glad you got your drugs so that you can fly.
Oh yeah, man. It was years off my life were occurring, because I'd be sitting there, the first turbulence, I've grabbed more unknown men's thighs.
Come on with it.
Then I know what to do, because we'll hit turbulence and I'll be like, going down the road, and it could be a lady or a dude. If they're next to me, they're getting grabbed, because I will freak out.
You have one of the things that you've branded your videos with is that little scream, squeal, whatever you call it.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
I've tried to do the Graham Allen squeal. I can't do it.
A lot of people, that's the very common thing people say. They're like, I've tried to do your scream all the time. And so I don't know why I do it.
It's great, though.
I've done that scream since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And so the friends of mine that have been my friends for forever and now see everything that's going on, they just roll their eyes and they're like, of all the freaking things for you to have gotten popular with is that freaking scream.
Are you glad you do it? Do you enjoy doing it now? Because I have things about my videos that I do that now I have to do them because people have come to expect them.
I think that it was a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. So if you watch my videos now, you'll see that there's a lot more serious videos I do.
Sure.
Along with the stereotypical rant character that comes out. I think that it was a very good, funny kind of gimmick in the beginning. That got people's attention. Oh, this dude's talking really serious stuff, but then randomly he'll scream like a girl midway through. But then also, towards the middle, it kind of became almost a hindrance in some way because it has the potential to do two things, be really funny and drive a point home, but then it also has the potential to, well, this guy's not really serious. You know, this guy's not really the real deal kind of does that make sense?
It does because
juvenile almost.
Well, and I love that, though, because that's always been my philosophy is I want to take truth, I want to wrap it in humor, and then it makes it an easier pill to swallow.
Exactly.
So now I have people who say, oh, you're being pompous, you're being arrogant, you're looking down on everybody, who's this guy who thinks he knows it all and all this stuff. And I say, that's the point.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to do. I want to touch the nerve, but I want you to also, if you can't see the humor, and a lot of it for me is self-effacing humor. I'm making fun of myself first.
Yeah.
By even sitting in a truck and talking to a camera phone, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous scenario, and millions of people are watching it. And so for me, it's self-effacing just to be doing. I'm not sitting in some studio making something out of myself like I'm. And so I wish I was. Didn't those lights make us look good this morning in studio?
Man,
Isn't that fantastic?
We've got to get some of those.
We've got to get a studio,
I saw the
man.
playbacks, and I was like, I do not really look that way, but I look fantastic on this TV show. I need a couple $1 million stat to get one of those studios out. How much you think one of those studios cost?
Oh, it'd take a few million.
Yeah, 5-6 million.
I don't know. I mean, with them, yeah, of course, but you could get lights and cameras and stuff like that and set up a pretty good little deal for a few $1,000s. But because I've shot in some small homemade studios that had a really good look, but there were people who knew what they were doing with the lighting and things. It's always hard for me to get lit properly because I'm always wearing that cowboy hat.
Right.
And the cowboy hat is hard to light underneath. You can't see the eyes. It's hard on stage for live shows, things like that. That's people thinking that's okay. So I come out of the world of the Western world, I'm still a part of the Western world. That cowboy hat is a part of who I am, but it's also become part of my image professionally. And it's one of those things where it's hard to travel with, it's hard to light, it's hard to do all of these things. You said you don't look good in a cowboy hat.
I, like you, come from a very southern background, obviously Mississippi, so it's not Texas or anything like that. But, I mean, I truly believe southern, real southern people know real southern people when it all comes down to it. And so I've got kind of an awkward-shaped head. I mean, and so...
I do too.
I have had this same size head since I was 3 years old. And I had to work out a lot to grow into it. And so cowboy hats just don't look right on
I don't
me.
believe it.
It's like an upside down bowling pin at that point.
My bromance statement. I told you, I said I don't think that's true. Everything looks good on Graham Allen.
Oh gosh.
What's it like to go down the streets in Manhattan or to go into a restaurant, because it's now happened a couple of times the last 2 days we're here, and get recognized?
You've witnessed it, huh? Yeah. Well, you too.
Well, yeah.
And so
it's a weird thing, though. It's surreal.
It's surreal. I don't know if I'll ever get used to people showing up because I'm there. Because to be completely transparent, I don't think I'm that interesting.
I'm the same way about myself.
Yeah, but especially places like New York. I mean, we're not just in New York. Like
this
state.
is not.
This is New York. This is downtown Manhattan. That was in Times Square.
Right.
That people, not tourists either. Like they lived here. That was something that I never expected. Was such a difference in culture.
Yeah.
Actually liking what we're doing, what we're talking about.
There was a lady who was out of breath this morning. She ran down the street.
She sprinted
to the studio so she could be outside when we came out.
Hoping to see us walk out the door. Yeah. Now, those are the things that it's the moment of, wow, this is really awesome that someone took that time. But then at the same time, you have to think, wow, that's also... I hope that she's a sane person that's waiting outside, because that goes with what I was talking about earlier. how long, we put out sometimes exactly where we're going to be when we're going to be there.
All the time.
We're going to be on Fox News at 7:20. So it's relatively assured that if somebody wanted to hurt us, they just hang out outside for an hour and a half and just wait to see if we walk out the
That's
door.
one reason why I keep people around me for security purposes, and because people are nuts. And if you got the messages that I get and you get, you do the same thing. I mean, it just, it's
That's
nuts.
the part people don't realize and people don't think about when they see all this stuff that's going on. They don't see all the truly hateful things that come in the background. And so anyway, but that lady was extremely nice, and she was awesome, and she gave us hugs and told us that she
Multiple
loved
hugs.
us and all that other kind of. Well, I felt bad because she was
out of breath.
I
She was nervous.
Yeah, I don't know if it was nervous or cold or what. But
she was
shaking,
nervous.
and
I've seen that enough, and it's odd to me. Then like when I do shows and I do the meet and greets, and people come up, and I'll see people who are visibly shaken because they're nervous about meeting you.
Right.
Sometimes because in their mind, you're famous. Now, whether we are or not, in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't matter. But in their mind, I've always had friends who've interrupted that. Let's say I'm out at a restaurant and somebody comes up and wants to say hello, and somebody's like, "Oh, that's just Chad." I've had to tell certain friends, I've said, "Don't do that," because for that person, that was their moment to meet somebody that in their mind they think is a celebrity.
It would be like me meeting Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that. Yeah.
And then Arnold's friend going, "It's just Arnold.
It's just Arnold.
It's just
Yeah.
Arnold."
Yeah.
And so and you're like, dude, don't crap on their moment here. Let them have their hug, their picture, their autograph, whatever it is. As silly as it may seem to you and me, because to us, we're just us.
Yeah.
We're just normal everyday dudes that, we got kids, we love our wives, and we live our lives. And so we don't think about it. We just happen to get suddenly 350 million views, in your case 400 million views of people watching this stuff, and you've had that. I mean, I'm going to have 1 billion views here in the next couple of weeks.
It's crazy.
It's
insane.
And so who knows what's going to happen. But you went back, so you started this whole deal in an effort to make more money. And you were looking for sponsors. You were looking, and so obviously that's worked out for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the people you're partnering with.
So it started off as just kind of a thing like before, like I said, and then when things started really taking off, there was that moment from the entrepreneurial standpoint where I was like, wow, maybe I could turn this into something.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but the good thing about me, that one thing, you said you wish you had done some things like me. Well, I had the benefit of seeing people like you that have done it before me, and a lot of people, and some things that I liked what they did, and some things that I could tell that's where they really killed themselves, kind of thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of going after the fast money, kind of thing, you see a lot of people do this. The very first thing they do, they get a couple 100,000 things, bam, they got a shirt from some unknown person, and they're pushing shirts and links and all this other kind of stuff, or they get on Dipley ads and clickbait ads and all this other kind of stuff. And so I saw that, and I said, well, I'm not going to do that. So what I decided to do is I decided to pitch myself more like a real marketing person would.
Yeah.
Hey, multi-million-dollar businesses have marketing budgets. Marketing budgets is divided into social media, print budgets, and all the above. Well, print budgets in 2017 are just about obsolete.
Right.
Print budgets are anything that's printed, newspapers, billboards, things like that. No way to track ROIs in any regard.
Not in any way.
And people will pay $5,000 a week for a billboard and things like that. So I kind of put myself out there to these companies and said, hey, I'm reaching a lot more people than these billboards and stuff are that you're paying all this money for. And unlike them, you can actually see how many people see your product in this. But I also didn't want to just, go anywhere, Ed Hardy collection or some randomness like that, right? So I was lucky enough to, my very first sponsor was 9 Line Apparel, and they are a patriotic apparel company.
What's their website? 9 Line?
9lineapparel.com.
Apparel.com.
And so, if you type up 9 Apparel, 9 Line,
it's going to show
apparel,
up.
Yeah, it'll show up. And so...
I love those guys.
Oh, they're great guys. 2 brothers, Danny and Tyler Merritt, just had this idea. And so I had met them before I had anything going on. I actually showed up at one of their model searches while I was still in the Army.
Look at you.
So it was it was one of those things, hey, you come take some pictures, we'll give you all the stuff you wear in them for free kind of thing. I was like, well, yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the pictures that people see pre-beard on Nine Line's page, those were taken 2 years ago before any of this took off. Anyway, so I was really good friends with Danny Merritt, and then I got to know Tyler Merritt, who is the other brother. And yeah, one thing led to another, and then the next thing you know, I kind of become the face of Nine Line to an extent. Me and Nine Line have such a good relationship, and we've branded so well. People think that I own Nine Line.
They think you're it.
Like they think it's my company. And I tell people, people all the time come up to me. I love what you do. Your T-shirt company is fantastic. All this other kind of stuff. And so the owners actually encourage me not to say that it's not really me because they don't want to be.
They don't need the attention from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, at one point in time, I actually questioned that. I wondered if you were a co-owner of it because you have branded it well, and that's what you want. You want to become the face of the company when you're repping somebody like that. Because I call that the side hustle. That's where we make our money because Facebook isn't paying us for doing what we do.
No, I make $0.
Right.
And a lot of people don't believe that, and so I'll say it again. I make $0 from Facebook.
There's no way. If I'm doing a live feed video, there's a way for me to. There is a way for me to send people to commercials on a live feed video because I qualify for that. Every random so often, I may do that. It might net me $40.
Yeah,
but so it's not worth it to me to send you to a commercial all the time. So you don't make money. You got to go out. I've had people who said, "Oh, you're selling out because you're out there promoting this." Well, I've got to feed the family somehow.
Yeah, I don't pay my bills with your negative comments.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's just true, and you're right. It's just the ridiculousness of it. Okay, you work at McDonald's. Oh, you're selling out because you want McDonald's to pay you for serving people fries.
Can't believe you take money for doing your job.
It is the same thing. The biggest thing is there is a large group of Americans that either refuse to accept or just haven't caught up to the fact that this is a new era of employment. What we do. This social media entrepreneur.
We're pioneers, basically.
We're
trendsetters.
We are pioneers.
we laugh, but we kind of are.
In what we do because it started off with people getting popular and they using their popularity for clickbait things, selling things, supplements and all this other kind of stuff.
Right.
And then it evolved, and it evolved into people like us who said, okay, that's a short-lived thing. Yes, you can make a lot of money, but eventually Facebook's going to figure out what you're doing and then kill your reach and all this stuff. So then you had pioneers like us that said, okay, what if we do it this way? And what if we go to more of an actual marketing standpoint to companies? And so that's what I do. I'm a salesperson of myself. I have meetings with $1 million companies every other week, and they don't all work out. Like, it doesn't always work. But I tell everybody that doesn't know who I am when they ask what I do, I say I'm in marketing. That's what I tell everybody. I'm in marketing. I don't say, "Oh, I'm famous," or "Oh, I'm a TV show host," or whatever. No, I don't say that. I'm in marketing. That's what I do, because that is at the core level of what we do. That is what we do. Yeah. We're in marketing.
We are, and you're marketing yourself. It's your name, it's your image, it's your brand, it's who you are, it's your personality, it's your voice, it's all of these things. I've had people, that's one reason I don't do a lot of contracts with people, because sometimes you have to have contracts, but there's certain ones where I refuse to sell my image, I refuse to sell my name, my likeness, any of that, because at this point, I can't, because it's me. It's me. It's what I use.
You can't just have your face on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I've stuck with people like Nine Line, USCCA, because those are things that I believe in. USCCA sells self-defense insurance. I mean, if there's ever anything that you don't think you need until you need it, it's self-defense insurance. I mean, it's crazy.
I know. Well, and it's an interesting entrepreneurial pattern, and I know that there's a lot of folks out there who say, I want to do a video with you, or let's collaborate on something, or what happens. I would love to do a viral video. I want to do what you do, and I want to say, do you understand what it is I do?
Yeah.
Because going viral, that's just a piece of the puzzle.
Anybody can go viral once, like we talked about. There was the
Chewbacca lady.
Yeah, the Chewbacca lady. There was those two girls that were fighting, and one hit each other with a shovel.
Yeah.
It got like 100 million views, but what did they? Nothing.
Yeah, it's a video that went viral. Yeah. I don't know if you can brand. They should have signed her up to be a shovel. Yeah. She could have sold shovels for Lowe's or Home Depot or something. I don't know, but no, I I look at that and I say, okay, so let's say you got a viral video tomorrow. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Now what are you going to do?
What's the plan?
And so, and I said, and do you really want what you think you want? Because now here comes the messages, here comes the negativity, here comes the crud. I can do a video encouraging people and saying, man, I love you guys. And somebody's going to find a way to criticize that.
We people like us, that's what I say when I say we. People like us that do what we do, we found a way to appeal to a mass amount of audience on a million worth scale simply from talking.
From running our mouth.
But from talking and to be able to capture people with your voice in whatever way you're delivering it, funny,
right.
humor, sarcastic, or inspirational, whatever it is. People I think deep down in our core, people look for something to connect to. Yeah. Everybody wants to connect to something, and if you say that you don't need to connect with people, then you're a liar. Yeah. And either that or you have a legitimate issue in your mind or something like that. Everybody wants to connect to something. I've done it before I became, Facebook, whatever we are. I did the same thing. I would look at these people. I would look at what they were doing. I'd watch every video they did just to hear what they had to say because I wanted to connect in some way with a successful person. You can't see me, but I'm doing the quotation marks right now around the word. That is what I feel is the difference of being able to do it over and over and over again. Because if you're capturing people with your soul of who you really are, it's not a gimmick, and it's not a one-hit wonder, and it's not a this, because people are not grabbing onto every video you do. You don't have some huge philosophical thing like your $20 bill video.
Sure.
That was a huge punch everybody in the face video you did, like this philosophical thing that you presented. Every video you do is not like that. But it's your words and how you capture people that keep people coming back.
Right.
Every single video I do is not the funniest video in the world. Sometimes I'll hit it and they're hilarious, and then other times
they are hilarious.
They're and then sometimes they're very serious.
I could do the high pitched voice. I did it.
Sometimes they're very serious, but for some reason people want to hear what we have to say, and I think that's the real accomplishment that's lost, is that somehow we have managed to use the gifts that God has given us, or whatever you believe in, and connect with people in the right way.
You ever get those messages from people who say, I could just listen to you talk all day long?
Oh, yeah, and I tell them, we've got to get you some better friends.
You got that right. Yeah, can you imagine your wife saying that to you? My wife would never say.
No, my wife tells me I talk way too much as it is.
We do. We're hyperactive dudes. I think that's why you and I relate so well to places like New York City.
I love New York.
I love it, too. Now, look at it. People always say, man, you better be careful. Watch your back up there. Yeah, there's some crazies, but there's crazies in every city. But you look at it. People have run down the block to see us. The people at
in the biggest city in the world, people have found us. Yeah,
have been so sweet to us. We had our breakfast paid for from somebody this morning that knew who we were. So I mean, it's like, come on, it is a great city. I like New York. I love the culture. I don't know if I could live here. Once upon a time, I thought I could.
Yeah,
because again, I grew up in the country. I grew up and I live in the country now. But I have access to the city.
Yes.
So for me, growing up in the country, being a hyperactive, kid the way I was, I didn't have friends. I had the dogs and the horses, and that's all I had. So I love being around people because I don't meet a stranger. You don't meet a stranger. And so I like being in the city. Yeah. And I think we're going to a Rangers hockey game tonight.
It's possible.
Yeah. Who knows what we're going to do? We're making this stuff up as we go along.
Knows? I mean, I know we're going to dinner, and so we're going to dinner at this cool place, Angelo's.
Angelo's, you got to go.
In Little Italy, and so it's one of those places you're not going to find it on the tourist list or whatever.
Those are my favorite places in New York.
But it is a family-owned restaurant, and it's my favorite place to go here in New York to eat. And that's the cool thing about it. I've come to New York so many times now that I actually have some buddies here. I actually know some spots that people don't know unless you live here. And so, single Graham with no kids could definitely live in Manhattan. I could. I could.
I know.
But it's just something about getting up and the sun is rising and you see all the buildings and you just see everybody hustling down the street.
Yeah, everybody's on the go.
Everybody seems to do what me and you do everywhere else. We are hustling to get where we got to go, but we've also got our earphones in, and we ain't listening to anything else anybody else has to say. Don't talk to me. I've got this to go to. I've got work to do. Blah blah blah, and I can relate to that, and I can respect it, and I don't find it. A lot of Southern people, the biggest thing is people are so rude up there. They don't say "excuse me" and all this stuff. Well, they got places to go, and you're in the way, dummy.
Exactly.
You don't know where you're going.
My wife, bless her heart, she's had a few little encounters at different places in the world where people aren't hospitable the way. And I tell her all the time, I said, they can be hospitable in the South, but that doesn't mean they mean it.
No.
They don't mean it. We just were taught to talk like that. It was a cultural deal. When we say bless your heart, you know what we're saying.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, you're stupid. I mean, exactly.
So we're going to go here in a little bit. I think we're going to jump in a cab and go down to the 9/11 memorial. I don't come to New York. I don't come to New York without going down there.
No, me either.
It was hugely impacted me. I know it impacted you as a veteran. I know that that it's things like that have a huge influence on you. And I like when I run into the police officers here in New York, the firemen here in New York. I always try to thank them and appreciate their service because what an iconic group they are here in New York City.
Yeah.
And I've been, I'm like you, I've been in New York so many times. At one point in time, I kind of felt like it was a little second home because I was here so much. I'm not here as much anymore, but I do like the city. And so we're going to do that. And you got some big projects coming up, and I don't know that we can get into them.
There's some huge ones
because we can't get into them yet because there's some contractual things.
I can't. Well, I can't tell you the network or anything like that. But what I can say is the big announcement is that we are in final contract negotiations for a possible Graham Allen TV show.
That's awesome.
And so so I can't tell you specifics or anything, but that is the big thing that's on the way. And so that's going to create a whole new just dynamic of everything.
And your website is Daily Rants Guy.
DailyRants.com.
DailyRants.com. So let's get that right. DailyRants.com. And of course, folks have got to follow you on social media. They've got to get on there and follow you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You're Daily Rants Guy on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Daily Rants Guy on Twitter because Graham Allen was taken for some reason on Twitter.
What a tool.
But every other platform, if you just search Graham Allen, I should pop up there.
It was funny. I got a kick out of it because we were in there and one of those producers did not know, and that's not unusual. A lot of times they don't know who we are. We come in there and they're like, well, we don't know who these people are. One of those producers got on. I was watching her. She jumped on the internet and she did a quick Google search for Graham Allen and boom, you pop up and there's you all muscled up and jacked up and I'm getting myself a little worked up and turned on right now. It's a bromance across the ironing board.
The only other Graham Allen that rivals me sometimes is this guy from London, and he's some Pulitzer Prize winner or something like that. And how dare him?
I know.
How dare you with your Pulitzer?
Change your name. I feel like such an alkie. I'm sitting here. I keep cracking open this little bottle, this airplane bottle of whiskey and sucking off of it. But I'm not doing it because I need the drink. I need it because I need to coat my vocal cords. Something's going on. I'm all dried out. But whiskey's always the good remedy for that.
We will be obtaining Red Bulls on our trip to the 9/11. That's what I need.
We definitely
need some Red Bull in my life. So Red Bull, if you ever need a guy that screams in his phone and you're listening to this podcast, there's your cue right there.
I know what I want to talk to you about real quick before we're done, and because I think people are curious about this. You do some editing to your videos because I like it's a fast-paced clip, and you throw in every now and then another scene.
Right.
You'll throw in some music. Do you do all of your own editing?
I do every bit of it.
Yeah, and you always have.
I always have, and so that's going to be the hardest part about this show is hiring people to see my vision and do it for me.
It's hard, isn't it?
That's going to be some hard reins to let go.
Yeah.
But I realized very early that I know in my head how I want it to go and how I want it to sound and how I see it looking and all this other kind of thing. And the only way for me to do it was just do it myself.
Yeah.
So it's very time consuming too. I can film the clips within 10 minutes.
Sure.
Done. But the editing will take me about 2-3 hours sometimes to get it. So normally what I do is the rants post at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And so I will start filming at about 8.
Yeah.
And so I'll film it at 8, and then I will literally sit in my truck on my iPhone, and I will just I'll thumb it, man. I will sit there and thumb edit that video together.
Are you doing it on iMovie or what app are you using?
I use this app called Video Shop. I don't use iMovie, and so I use Video Shop. I just like the little extra little things you can do.
I need to check that one out. Yeah. Do you put your captions over and above it, over and below it?
I run it through a secondary app to do that.
Which one do you use for that?
Text on VS is the name of the app.
I've heard of that one. See, I use Videorama.
Okay.
I use Videorama for that. And but the Video Shop app, I need to check that out because people ask me all the time. They say, "Are you using a GoPro? Are you using a camera? What do you?" No, I'm using my iPhone.
I'm using my iPhone.
I mean, why? I mean, why not? You got a 12 megapixel camera or something like that on there. It shoots great. I love using the vehicle because you can control the sound, you can control the lighting, you can park in the shade. I have people who say, "Is this guy? What's wrong with him? He just lives in his truck, or what's the deal?" Just shut up.
People, I get the same question.
I do it.
Graham,
and it just
love
works.
your videos. Why are you always in your truck? Well, one, I have 3
You got
kids.
3 children.
And so if you think that I'm going to be able to film something in my home or anything like that, it's just and people relate what they relate to. There is something about that visual of seeing someone in their vehicle. Mm-hmm. People just respond to it for some reason.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird psychological thing. And I've had people who have tried to deny that, but it's absolutely the truth.
Well, because everybody's been there.
Yeah.
The most honest place in the world is alone in your car.
That's right. I tell people all the time, I say, we have gotten so acclimated to being in our car, we've learned how to cuss with our hands when we drive past somebody that cuts us off. And, where else do we rant but in the vehicle?
Oh, yeah.
We rant in the vehicle. We rant at other drivers, the person that didn't put their blinker on, the guy that made a left-hand turn from the center lane. I mean, it's just crazy, the stuff that we do. And so, right-hand turn from a center lane. I don't even know how to drive. But where else to rant besides in the deal? And I've had people who said, "Oh, man, this guy's just sitting in his minivan. He's a real cowboy." And it's like, whatever. I'll sit wherever I want to sit because, that doesn't define me. But sometimes I've done them in my wife's car. You've done them. You've done them in your bonus room upstairs kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's actually my son's room.
Okay.
So the bonus room. When I have done them occasionally in my home, and normally those are more serious things.
Yeah.
And that's simply because. It's gonna sound so bad. The lighting is better.
The lighting
right
is
there
good.
because that's where the sun's at. You know, and where their room sits and everything. And so my wife will actually get on to me when I do that. Because sometimes I'll forget to shut the boys' closet door and it looks like a tornado in the back, and she'll just be like, "Really?
Yeah.
Really? Millions of people see our dirty house."
My wife hates it when I do anything in the house.
Yeah.
Because she's like, "What?" And it is kind of difficult because she's scared to death if something's going to look out of place or whatever. And I've done the biggest video I've done in the last year. I did in a hotel room. I wasn't even going to do the video, and it was the one about the cotton lady who was offended by the Hobby Lobby decoration. 30 million views on that thing. It exploded. And then sometimes the ideas just come to you like right there on the spot, and you're like, "Oh, I want to say this."
Yes, and so early on, of course, when you first start, that's what I tell everybody. When you first start, the ideas are all over the place because you've got so many things you want to say.
Right.
But then as you become in longevity of this thing, you have to start pacing it out a little more, and you have to start picking your battles, and you have to start this and start that. And so, yes, sometimes it'll be instant. The NFL video that I just did back in September when the mass amount of NFL players took a knee and things like that. I sat there and I watched that Sunday, and I knew first thing Monday morning, I know exactly what I want to say. I know exactly how I want to say it. I'm going to spin it a certain way that nobody else has spun it yet.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. And so sometimes it happens like that. Other times I'll put it up to a vote. I'll have like 4 or 5 ideas what I think that I could do, and I'll just throw it out there.
Yeah.
And then I kind of wait to see what people end up bickering about the most. so whatever. So you'll see people vote number 1, and people will be like, "Of course, the white dude votes number 1," or something. And then people just start bickering. I'll be like, "Well, that's the one that I'm going to do."
That's the one you're going to go with. I like to put the grease on the squeaky wheel, and that's kind of my method. I've had some stuff. People always say, "How do you come?" Sometimes it is literally just a thought that just happens, and I say, "I'm going to spit this out in 2 minutes, and I'm going to say it as fast as I can before people quit listening."
Just when I think I'm like right this second, I'm sitting here. We talked about this. We're both kind of burnt out at the end of the month.
Sure.
The end of this month of November, it's been a long month, holidays. I'm burnt out, and so right this second in my head, currently, I've got nothing in my head that I
Isn't that crazy how that goes?
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Like I sit there and I go, I know I need to put out some videos, but I even the ideas that I have, I don't care enough to put thought into them.
Exactly.
Because I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
And you get that. You get that way. We run our mouth for a living, and at some point in time, you're just like, I don't even want to do it.
Right.
I don't even want to talk for 2 more minutes.
Right.
On a video.
And it's learning that that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You give yourself permission to take a break.
Give yourself permission to take a break. The audience is still going to be there.
Yeah.
And with every thing, that's the other thing is a lot of people will say, well, it's not really daily rants anymore, is it? It's more like weekly rants and stuff.
So you do it, jerk.
Yeah. And so, well, the biggest thing that I tell people is, I was like, well, yeah, when it first started, I had nothing else to do.
Nothing.
Except make a video every single day. It's like now I have companies. I have to travel to Wisconsin, Georgia, Texas, New York every single month.
Exactly.
Now you have the possibility of, knock on wood, possibility of the talk show and the TV show, which
it's
is going
to happen.
That's going to be.
Happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, superstitious.
I know what you mean.
Anyway, but that's going to become a full-time job. I mean, there are things going on in the background that people don't know that we have coming their way in a couple months that require
a lot of time,
a lot of
attention,
a lot of work, a lot of attention. And so, sometimes you just have to say, you know what? Yeah, I no, there's not going to be a daily rant this week because I've got to, we're painting a studio this week and all this other kind of stuff, and so it's giving yourself permission.
I had somebody who commented on Facebook just today who said, you and Graham, y'all need to do a video in the truck.
Yeah,
well, we're in New York City.
Well, where's the truck?
We didn't put the truck
here
on the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you got to think, people don't think through the logistics of it, like we just snap our fingers and suddenly we're in a truck.
Yeah.
And
we do need to do that, by the way.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, and so what I would like to do is I think maybe sometime next month, which is in like a couple of days, I should come out to Texas.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoy Texas and been there for a while. And then that would be easy because your truck is very similar to mine, the interior. You have a Silverado and it's black interior like mine. So that would be a very easy video to do.
Don't eyeball my whiskey, Graham.
Oh, I was just seeing how low you were on it. That's all.
I'm getting that. It's an airport bottle. It's an airplane bottle. It's a little one.
Yeah, but for those
you should come out.
I am.
You should come out.
No, that was me basically saying that's what I was going to do.
Do it. I want you to. And we'll have fun with that. I think that this has been therapeutic for me, quite honestly, having this conversation, because you can relate to a lot of things that I deal with and vice versa, and not the average person relates to the social media viral aspect of and things that come with it. Yeah. And that's not to, I don't mean that to come out arrogant like, oh, you don't know all the stuff I put up with. I love what I do.
Oh, I love it.
I love people. I love talking from the truck. I love getting my thoughts out there for me. And I've told people a lot of times that for me, that's my therapy, because my wife used to always say, you need to go talk to a professional. And I was like, there was no way that I'm going to go sit on a leather couch with another dude while every 15 seconds he says, how's that make you feel? I mean, it's just creepy. I'm not going to do it. And so for me, getting it off my chest, doing that has been therapeutic.
Yeah, my wife said something very similar to me.
We're crazy.
But I went through a period right there towards the end of my military career where, now I say this and say I'm very, very prideful in the fact that I was in the military.
Yep.
I am. But I am more prideful in the first 6 years than I was the last 6. In fact, when I'm 80 years old, I probably will only ever remember or think about the first 6 years because, I went to Iraq during those times, and things like that. I was ready to get out. I was miserable.
Yeah.
And I was caught up in that circumstance of, I'm 12 years in. I got 8 years left for retirement. All this thing. Get up every day. I don't want to shave anymore. all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was just miserable. And so my wife told me, you really need to find something that you're passionate about. And what she didn't realize is when she said that, she was going to create a monster. And now here I am, very passionate about this. And so I'm all over the place, traveling all the time, doing all this kind of stuff. So my wife said something very similar to me.
Yeah, my wife just rolled her eyes and said, okay, you do you figure it out. And I did. And so I always liken it to that old story in the Bible, in the Old Testament, where they were begging, the Israelites were begging God, send them some meat. They wanted meat. They were starving. Right. And so God sent them quail, and he sent them so many quail. They were eating it every day. There was quail, and it says, the Bible says it was literally coming out of their nose. So in other words, they were puking up quail because there was a blessing, but they got so much of it,
right,
they didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
And so they were just getting sick on the blessing.
Right.
And so I look at what we do, and if you're not careful, you can get sick on this blessing
Oh, yeah.
of what we do, because we do have a lot of people, and sometimes it's coming out of our noses with this stuff because you get so busy and you're like, gosh, I have people all the time who say, you need to hire an assistant. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to hire an assistant who could do what I do in the way that I do it.
I'm a bit of a control freak myself.
Me too.
And so I don't, in my mind, nobody can do it better than I can do it.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, and also there's no blueprint for what we do, you know, and there's, and being in the public eye, if you hire the wrong person and something happens, you know, your image can be tarnished like that. And so there's so many factors that go into it that people just don't understand. I mean, they just don't understand. And so,
well,
and how could they at the end of the day? How could you?
Well, let's go jump in a cab, go down to the memorial, and brother, I love you, man. I love you like a brother. I really do, and I appreciate our friendship. And this thing is we're gonna do this conversation some more in another podcast because I just like talking to you.
Yes,
and it's therapeutic for me. So
we'll have to do it in L.A. next time.
I know we go to the studio.
I've never been there.
You need to come out to L.A.
It'll give me an excuse, business write-off. I'll just come out to L.A. do a podcast.
I enjoy going to L.A. I've got a lot of stories about how I won't get into all that.
Do I have In-N-Outs there?
In-N-Out. That's covered up with In-N-Outs.
Man, I love
it. You know, we got them in Texas now.
Yeah. I've seen a couple in Texas, and so anyway, I love it. That and Taco Bueno, I really like.
I love Taco Bueno. We have those.
Yeah.
Now you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
My buddy Benton Blunt, I'm going to have him on the podcast here pretty soon. He's local to you. He's in Greenville. Okay. You're in Anderson, South Carolina. He's in Greenville, South Carolina. He was on America's Got Talent. Phenomenal singer, phenomenal voice. I love the guy. I love it, not just his singing voice, but I love his thoughts and the way he thinks. And he was telling me about this great wing place that's right near here. You eat wings? You like chicken wings?
Yeah.
I'm a fanatic.
Yep.
I literally could eat chicken wings, buffalo wings, however they come, every day of my life.
Straight food conversation towards the end.
I know. I love it because we're going to go eat. And I'm thinking about Angelo's tonight in Little Italy. That's going to be good. Hey, listen, I love you guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Tell your friends about it. Be sure to subscribe to the Chad Prather Show. And I'm so thankful for the guys at Podcast One for giving me the opportunity because it gives me another opportunity to run my mouth. This podcasting thing's a pretty good gig. So go find Graham Allen on all the social medias. Go to dailyrants.com. Be sure to tune in so you can check out all the big things that are coming his way, and the things he's going to be doing. And, of course, you can find me on tour and all of my tour dates at watchchad.com, and you can go and read my blog and all the things that are going to upset you and make you mad, and sometimes it'll make you cheer at politicalcowboy.com. But find me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter at watchchad, and I will greatly appreciate it because it's a lot of fun on there. Either way, I think we nailed this conversation, and I appreciate you being on here with me, talking across this ironing board. Let's go get some food, Graham Allen. I love y'all. God bless. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Chad Prather Show. Check out new episodes every Thursday exclusively at PodcastOne.com, the new Podcast One app, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Hey, it's Adam Carolla. Now, if you're hearing my voice, it means you like podcasting. And if you like podcasting, well, then you're going to love